You can really make a lot of good money tearing stuff up, can't you?
I think so.
I think you've proven it.
I don't pretend to have it all figured out, but it's amazing to me. It wasn't my primary business that I went after in my life, but this is where I landed, and it's like a pinch me every day. It's an exciting thing for me.
I love that. So let's go back. You said this wasn't your primary business. Tell me about how you first got into the trades.
I went into the military, United States Air Force. I worked for some wealthy people. I grew up poor. My parents didn't have a lot. We did a lot of impulsive things. We moved like once a year. And I started mowing the grass for this really rich lady, and her husband worked for a billionaire guy. He ended up owning the Cincinnati Reds for a while, Great American Insurance. He's dead now, but I'm interacting with him, and I'm thinking, holy cow, they're just weird people like me, but they know something I don't know. So anyway, she inspired me to go into we break stuff, and I couldn't mow our grass for 3 weeks because I broke the mower. Well, I started fixing it because I needed the money for mowing the grass. Well, when you're poor, you learn how to fix stuff.
Absolutely.
Or you do without. So that's what happened. She inspired me to go into the Air Force. She said, go into engineering. My math sucks. I went into engineering, and it taught me what I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I learned a trade, engineering assistant, learned how to do land surveying and stuff like that, and did site development primarily. And when I got out of the military, I just couldn't stand working for people that just didn't have any drive, or they didn't want to be anybody. They just wanted to exist, and that didn't fit for me. Got out of the military long enough, got a job, had good credit, bought a brand new car, quit the job, and went into the real estate business.
I like that. So into the real estate business. Why real estate?
It's broke. I didn't have any contacts, didn't have anybody I could go to and say, hey, I want to start a franchise. I was convinced through a lot of the self-help books that being able to go out and get the business versus sitting in a store or something and wait for it to come to you was better. And then a lot of the wealthy people put their money into real estate. And I thought, well, what better way to learn real estate than to do real estate every day? And I really didn't have a lot of other options.
Okay. So you go to the military. Number one, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
My nephew's a fighter pilot in the Air Force right now. Actually, I think he's moved up and become a pilot trainer, something like that.
Cool for him. I was like the janitor in the Air Force.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, it takes everybody to make the wheels go around.
It taught me what I know.
It takes everybody to make it all go round. So you get into real estate, and then later you get into the trade side of it. You become a home builder.
Okay. So what I did is I went into the real estate business, got caught up in the heat of being the best real estate agent and competing with everybody. And
where's this at the time?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And I did that long enough as a solopreneur to the point where I burned out. I just couldn't do anymore. I just couldn't do anymore. Couldn't get over a threshold, and I burned out really bad. I left Cincinnati, moved to Isle of Palms in, I think it's South Carolina. Walked up and down the beach, listened to all my self-help tapes again, got my head back on, and went back into the real estate business. But I went and teamed up with a guy. He had good credit, good reputation, and we started buying houses and renovating them. And that's primarily where I grew up with. My dad took care of apartment buildings when I was a kid, so I was the cheapest help around, and I worked like a banshee. So he used that and I learned how to do a lot of things through that, and I applied that into the real estate business. We accumulated a whole bunch of houses, which seemed like a really good idea. When I got to a certain point, we had exceeded the lender the amount the lenders would want to loan to somebody that's doing risky stuff, which is,
you bet,
and you understand what I'm saying. So
flipping properties. Yeah.
They don't like it. So
or acquiring them either way. You bet.
So then some big builder went sideways, and I had all the same banking relationships he did. And they all came to me and said, hey, we just got 20 properties back. We trusted this guy to the point where we don't even know, could you go see if these houses are actually on these lots and stuff like that? And you would be shocked at how many weren't on those lots. So I hired his top echelon and Went from building 5 houses one year and built 150 the next year.
Wow.
I did that for 2 years. And then the market, I had 100 of them under being built, and the lenders cut everybody off. And it's like, you know, how much money do you have, you know? So I had 100 houses that just, I had to finish them up out of pocket. And, you know, if you've done real estate investing, you put 50 grand down here, 70 grand down there, and you're renovating. And, you know, unless you're Rockefeller, you know, it was like when they stopped lending and I missed my first payment, it was the biggest relief in my life because I couldn't do anything about it at that point.
Right.
So I paid all the trades out that I became good friends with, paid them everything I had left. When I got to zero, I'd been doing business back in Florida and Cincinnati. I headed back to Florida because I love it down there. I just like it being sunny all the time, and started all over, intending to go back into the real estate market when it recovered. And then we started doing junk removal to survive. And I started thinking, are you freaking kidding me? So the other junk removal companies are taking the stuff to the dump, and I'm taking it back and putting it in my garage and selling it. So,
well, let's go back to being a builder first. How hard was it to go from being like a real estate agent, real estate broker, trying to be the best real estate person, to being a builder?
Yeah, a completely different ballgame.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
How did you learn what to do? How did you step in and do it right?
Well, that's a good question. The question is, did I do it right? So,
okay. That's a good answer.
So, I mean, I would, in the trades, you would have called me a briefcase builder. You know, the guys that work with me knew more about the building industry than I did. I knew how to rehab stuff. I knew how to take a dog and make it into the best house on the street. But I didn't really know the idiosyncrasies. What ended up working in my favor is these guys that I hired, they already had the relationships and already had the reputation. So their relationships and my reputation, we walked in and we started building. We basically walked into a bunch of developments that I couldn't have gotten into on my own, because where I'm from, if you don't develop it, you're not building in it.
Right.
So that was big boy money. I was very small potatoes compared to them guys.
But as you're growing it, it's got to look pretty good.
Yeah.
What shifts you? Well, and let's go back. I like this. You know, I can look at it and I know what needs to be done. What makes you want to become good like that? Being able to look at something and say, "Hey, look, there's a much better way to do this. There's a way to make it look 100 times better."
Well, when you're renovating property, most of the time I would walk into it and say, geez, if you move this here, move that there, add another bathroom, and now you have something that's worth $30,000 or $40,000 more. And all you did was just move around the configuration of the floor plan. Somebody built something to suit their taste, but it didn't really suit the market's taste, or the market is changed and they want things a different way. And then I was buying them, renovating them, and then lease optioning them out and keeping them. So I was and then I would go onto a street that had 4 bad eggs, and I'd buy all 4 of them. And I'd take it from the worst street to one of the better streets in the neighborhood. We did a lot of that. So, I mean, I have a real estate now, but it's very specialized and very directed in a certain way, due to all the stupid things and mistakes that I made in the past.
So do you learn from your mistakes?
I like to think I do. But sometimes I do something, I'm like, I can't believe I just did that again. So
it makes it tough.
Yeah. Well, you forget. And then sometimes you're impulsive and you move into something. You're like, you know what? I already learned this lesson, and here I am doing it again, you know?
So you decide to get into the demolition, kind of fall into it, I guess. It's like, hey, we need you to tear this up first or whatever.
Strange journey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how'd that door open?
Okay. I'm starting all over. I am working for a girl, a friend of mine. She teaches for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She's making $1 million a year. She thinks she's going to lose her job. So she bought this program from a guy who was doing flipping at a really high level, and he had a marketing system to do that. So I don't remember what it was, but it was it was a really long course. And I took the course for her, getting ready for her to be fired or let go.
To teach her how to do what needs to be done.
Well, she was doing real estate. When she had real estate questions, she called me.
Yeah, but you're taking the course to tell her
to help her
exactly.
go ahead and segue into this seamlessly. So after a while, she wasn't going to lose her job. I lost interest in it. And what I was doing is I was just trying to survive. So I'm driving down the street in these rich neighborhoods, and I'm like, holy crap, there's a couch. That couch looks brand new. So I'm embarrassed because this is the neighborhood I was living in and owned property in before it crashed. So I'm looking around, make sure nobody sees me, and I
put this beautiful couch.
Put the beautiful couch in my truck, and I'm like, so I went down, and people have been telling me about this thing called Craigslist, and I'm desperate. So I take some pictures of it, go meet some people for lunch. Somebody called me at lunch. I took pictures, put it on Craigslist, went to lunch. Worst Craigslist ad ever. Somebody calls me up and says, "You still have that couch?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Is there anything wrong with it?" Nothing wrong. It's like perfect. Where'd you get it? It's just been around.
Yeah, been around for a while.
Been
around on we didn't use.
Been around on the sidewalk.
There you go.
And they paid me $100 for it. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So and then I started watching, back then they were.
And it's probably a $5,000 couch. You could sell that for more nowadays.
So yeah, well, it's probably a $500 couch. Okay. I think back then I actually had seen it at like Rooms to Go. So it did. So then I started paying attention to these guys that are emptying out these houses in foreclosure and just dumping it all on the street. So then after a while, I figured out what sold and what didn't. And I would run down there with my hoopty trailer, pick that stuff up, put it in my garage, put it back on, and get back to work on her program. And then what I was trying to do is keep my son, who moved down for the summer and never went home, me and my ex-wife, and I wanted to put him in a Christian school. I wanted to protect him away from the
world as it is today.
Yeah, that's the nicest way to put it.
It is.
So that's what I did. And then that church wanted to start a thrift store. So I helped them start a thrift store, which I can give you 100 reasons why not to start a thrift store.
There you go.
So that's basically it. So now I'm running around. I looking at these junk removal companies, and then I started running ads in the rich neighborhoods down south of us in Naples. And I said, "Hey, can you send me pictures of what you got?" Because if they had nothing but junk, I had a really high price because I didn't want to do it.
You bet.
And then the next thing you know, it just got a lot of traction. So then what happened is I'm doing the junk removals. Well, that was the first step for an investor buying something. The second step was, now I need to get everything ripped out. Well, I kept hearing, who do you know that takes out tile? Who do you know that takes out kitchens? Who do you know that takes out this? And where I come from, kind of a lower income area, well, the contractor's going to do it because everybody's trying to save money.
You bet.
But in these marketplaces, these people are very intentional about their time. And if you can actually do it and not create a bunch of extra damage or go too far, and if you've done this stuff, you know what I mean when people go too far.
We wanted the cabinet removed, not the entire wall.
Exactly.
No, I know. I've seen it. So I do. I get it.
And I've had it happen to me before too, with people that don't speak English. So everybody that works for us, they speak English. So don't take this wall out. Maybe if you don't know English he wants the wall out.
Right. And
he doesn't know. It happens.
You bet.
It's happened to me.
I've had people that speak English still take the wall out. They're like, man, I just started pulling, it all came down.
Yeah. Listening is not exactly in everybody's wheelhouse.
You bet. You started learning demolition and getting really good at it. What sets you apart from everybody else?
Okay. I'll give you the first time that I realized this. Driving down the street in Cape Coral, somebody took all their cabinets and put them out on the street. And a lot of people, when they see nice stuff like that, they don't want to damage it. They put it out nice and neat.
Oh, yeah.
So I loaded it up on my trailer.
It's still personal to them. They don't want to scratch it, carry it out easy, set it down.
Well, this person did that. So it's an ordinary kitchen cabinet set. I take it back. I'm doing eBay stuff and stuff like that to survive, all coming from the junk removal business. and I put them on for $500. Well, by 11 o'clock that night, I'm loading them up into somebody's car.
Absolutely.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So 2 days later, I'm going through this house and Lee says, who do you know takes kitchens out? I said, I'll take it out.
Absolutely.
It was a way nicer cabinet.
For $500.
I charged her $3.
There you go.
Because I want to be fair.
You bet.
So I took it out, took it back to my house, took a month to sell, but I got $1,000 for that set. So that's where it started. So we're doing junk removal and everybody asking me who does this, who does that. Well, I already had a contractor's license. I was building in Florida and in Ohio. And I'm like, in Florida, you need to have that, especially to be in these high rises. And then the high rises, that's a whole new thing because now you got 100 people looking at you instead of just one homeowner. So if you can make them happy, well, you get a lot of business. And they're constantly taking out perfectly good stuff. And all my competitors, they're throwing it in the dumpsters. We're taking it out. We're giving them a price break. And it's just a good thing for everybody. It's good for the environment. It's good for, we make money coming and going. It's allowed us to grow. We pay well. My guys, as time has gone on, every time I drive up to the shop, they got nicer cars, they got nicer shoes, they got families, a lot of times these kind of businesses, it holds everybody down. So it's a beautiful thing and it's a pinch me all the time.
No, I love that. Take just a second and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, my name's David Lockwood, and I'm basically, I would say the general manager of our company, Remove It Pros Demolition, which is based out of Bonita Springs, Florida. Bonita Springs is just south of Fort Myers, and just north of Naples. It is strategically placed there because it's a lesser area. It's the area that's not developed completely yet. So good place to be. And just a hillbilly that jumped into stuff and just said and learned, I listen and learn.
So demolition is your big business.
That's where the lion's share of the money that we make comes from. The junk removal is a part of it. It's a daily part of it. We run a lot of crews. So it's really fill-in work for us. If I can do a demo or I can do a junk removal, I'm going to do the demo because I'm going to get I know where my profit is. I know that the kitchen cabinets make the most money. So if I can take a kitchen out versus going and doing a $300 demo where I'm going to get $1,000 worth of stuff, I want to take the kitchen out because typically I'm going to get the appliances and stuff like that because they just don't want to deal with it.
Right.
We're in a very wealthy market and they don't want to deal with it. They want you. They don't want somebody. They want you to do it because you got a good reputation. You got the Google reviews. You got the trust, the reputation.
Now, I just had one of my marketing guys look at your website. You've got over 1,000 5-star Google reviews.
Yes, sir.
That's not a bad deal.
He should look up my competitors. They have 20.
Yeah.
20. I have more. And I don't want to, I'm not bragging, believe me, I'm not bragging, but I have more Google reviews and more positive experiences than all the companies in my marketplace. And it's not because of anything magical. It's the show up on time. And if you're going to be late, call, if you damage something, you let them know, do the job completely. We meet people before and after the job and we push them. You have to come back because you may have told me something and meant it a different way, or I misunderstood it. And you got ordinary people doing ordinary business. So that just makes everything so much better. So I meet you at the beginning. I mark it on the walls, what's coming out. And at the tail end of it, I'm going to meet with you again. And you're going to see that I got every screw, every piece of tile off the floor. You don't have the other trades coming in and back charging you $500 because they had to go get a demo hammer.
Right.
And stuff like that. And you do that long enough in a marketplace. If they can get us, they get us. A lot of times they can't get us because I only have so many crews. And during certain parts of the year, the demand is way beyond what we can do.
And when is the busy time of year where you're at?
when everybody leaves and goes home. So typically right about where Easter is. Easter was really early this year, so our business started early. And then it can run all the way to October. This year it ran to about the end of August.
Okay.
And every year we're running more crews in the off season, and through YouTube and the other things we're doing to advertise, we're picking up more business. So we are working more crews longer in the year.
It's really funny because you would think Florida summertime is when everybody comes there.
Yeah.
But that's when really everybody leaves.
Yeah. You don't want to be in Florida in the summertime unless you love it.
And see, I love the heat. So I'm like, I love the heat. I love scuba diving. I love all that.
I just got back from Key West scuba diving.
There you go. I've never dove in Key West. I came halfway up to Key Largo and dove out of
It's better in Key Largo.
somewhere. Yeah.
It's clearer,
Yeah.
clearer more often.
I want to dive there. Who'd have ever thought demolition could be that big of a business?
I think demolition on its own may not be that big of a business, but if you're doing it the way that we have come to do it, and again, we came to it through the junk removal business, and I would have never figured this out on my own. Matter of fact, the first time I put the stickers on the truck, I thought people were going to laugh at me, and I put it on the side of the truck that we take out kitchens and baths and stuff like that. If I did that in Ohio, they would laugh at me. Unless I was in Indian Hill, the really rich areas,
Right.
and they understood their time like they do in Florida. Down there, they know they've got 6 or 8 months to do a year's worth of work, and they don't want to be caught up in babysitting day labor. And they certainly don't want to put their $40 an hour guys that work at $40 an hour guy pace, taking out stuff.
Wait, I know a lot of guys make $40 an hour that work pretty good, though.
Well,
There's some of each.
Well, what I mean by this is the way you put a kitchen in and the way you demo are completely two different things. And the tools, a lot of the tools are different.
Oh, completely.
So what happens is the $40 an hour guy's got to go to Home Depot to get a hammer because he's not going to buy a $900 hammer that he's going to use occasionally.
Right.
Most of the companies are not going to pick them up. So it makes them terribly inefficient and ineffective. Whereas if they were putting in a kitchen, are you going to make $100,000 on the kitchen? Or are you going to make $2,000 on a demo,
Right.
which is smarter?
Yeah. No, I get it. And you don't want your plumber digging the tunnel under your house. He's not a digger. He doesn't have the tools for it. He's not going to be efficient at it. And he really doesn't want to do it.
Nope.
So,
and you're going to see it on your bill.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because most tradespeople to demo, I'm just going to charge you twice what I would charge to install it.
Well, and the beauty of our business is we because we were doing the junk removal business and we wanted to get faster and better at it and to make more money and be more effective, I put a dump trailer on the back of a box truck. And you never saw that before we were doing it, at least in our area. And we put the debris in the dump trailer, and then we put the stuff we're repurposing in the box truck. And it makes you even more efficient. And then we put ramps on both so that you can load faster. And then we run 3-man crews, and we have a little culture that we have built through. And again, it's nobody being smart, just looking at something and saying, okay, that's not working. Let's try it this way. That's not working. Let's try it this way. So we have the rule, the fair share rule. You're either doing your fair share of the work or you can't work here.
I like that.
And we let the guys in the field, because me as the boss, I don't know if you're working or not. When I show up, you're always working. So we let the guys say, hey, this guy's not working. And then, of course, there's personality problems. So we put them on another crew. If I hear it twice, we shake their hands and say, you can come back in a month or two, but you need to come back with a new attitude. And if they don't want to, that's fine. But if they do, for their skill level, they can make a lot of money.
What made you decide just to go all in, or how did you go all in on, look, we're just going to be a full-blown demolition company?
That's a good question. Skill level, even my own skill level. I mean, I didn't come through the trades like you did. I don't know how to put plumbing together properly. I can put it together, and most of the time it works.
50-50.
Same thing with the electric and that. I know enough to be a rehabber. A cheap rehabber where you don't want to pull the trades in to do things that you probably should have them come in to do.
Right. We see a lot of that.
Yeah.
On home flips. We see it all the time.
Yeah. It's a mess, actually. So, and then I didn't want to become the tradesperson. I wanted to own property, and I wanted to be like Mr. McIntyre, who taught me how to be wealthy, you know? So, and you just got to make a good use of your time, and buying something and doing forced equity into it is a winner chicken dinner all day long. So, you know, our 401k is we buy properties that we renovate. We use these kitchens and baths and furniture and stuff we get out of these high-end houses, and we renovate them. In Florida, it's so heavily, everything, you got to have a license for everything.
Right.
So, we have the trades come in and do their part of it. And then we do everything else. I have a crew that works for me nonstop, and all they do is just renovate. And we're doing Airbnbs, close or short-term rentals. Cause it's not just Airbnb. We use all of them, and we just, so that's it. So that we do that, and then the demo.
So how many properties do you own right now?
Probably 15. They're all on the water.
Where else would they want to be in Florida?
Well, you want to get rich in Florida or anywhere else, go get as close to the coast and get on Gulf access water. And on the East Coast or on the West Coast, our coast, the East Coast hasn't figured it out yet. But the property it's just going to keep, it's been going up at 10% a year. There's been a couple years it's been 17 and 13%. And historically it's been doing that. And then you could buy the dog and you're going to be fine, because the property is going to be worth, with or without the building, is worth so much money, and it's so rare.
How did you grow in demolition?
Just word of mouth advertising, just doing what we said we were going to do. And they found us. We, something I learned about the real estate business, if I put a sign up on a property, I actually got calls on it. If I didn't put a sign up, I didn't get calls on it. If my sign told them early stages of filtering, I tell them how much they needed down, how much the payment would be, and so on and so forth. And now my phone rang even more and more and more. So what I did is, when we went into this business, I know that most people in Florida, they don't talk to each other, but they know your reputation. So if I have a truck in their driveway down the street and I'm doing work for them, and they know that they're difficult to deal with, they know that I'm easy to work for.
There you go.
So that's what we did. So we put on every truck and every trailer, we put all our advertising and everything that we do. And the rest of it's either dumb luck or just being consistent.
So you've got Remove It Pros.
Yes.
You really don't want to just come in and remove junk. You want to tear down a big building that you can come in and recycle, repurpose, reuse.
The majority of our business is hands-on demolition. So if you're a demolition contractor somewhere and you're doing machine-driven demolition and you want to grow and you don't want to leave your area, I could literally show you how to make $1 million next year. And it's all in handling the labor. An extra million. Yeah. An extra million. And then beyond that, how many people are renovating houses versus how many people are tearing down buildings? Just think about the numbers. So we're doing between 1,500 and 2,000 demos a year. So, and then the majority of them are hands-on demolitions where we want the stuff that you got in your house. A lot of it just is too old. We know it won't sell. We've been doing this long enough. You know, success leaves clues. You see what sells and what doesn't sell, you know, and that's the formula pretty much that we use. Now, tearing down the big buildings, we only started doing machine-driven demolition after Hurricane Ian hit, which is 2022. And because of our reputation and our word of mouth, and we're working for the same guys, it's a small area, we were able to walk right into that and just start dominating in that. We're not the top company, but we're probably pretty close. The other companies are feeling us right now because the market's slowing down. But
you walk in and do hand demolition first in those buildings, right? If there's anything you can repurpose.
The one I told you about was a 7-story building. This is not something that's normal for our marketplace, period. It's right on the beach. The hurricane came in and started beating it, and the floors on the thing, the concrete was failing. They didn't know this before the hurricane, and they probably saved lives that what happened. So they condemned the whole building because it wasn't There's a 50% rule in Florida. If it costs you more than 50% of the value of the building to renovate it, you can't rebuild it. Between the 50% rule, the high cost of an elevator, the high cost of a roof, the high cost of the structural repairs, this 24-unit building wasn't worth fixing. So they gave the owners like 10 months or whatever to get their stuff out of it. And then they came up and gave us the keys. And the keys were not to the units, it was to the gate. Go get the building. So we're walking in this building, we're like, they left everything.
Right.
So we took out 100 windows, took out 15 slider sets. These windows were less than 3 years old. They're hurricane rated windows. Took out all the kitchens that made sense. And I've got a space problem because my building is 20,000 square feet. And
it's full.
And I need 50,000 square feet.
Yeah.
I took out the washers, the dryers, the hot water heaters, the HVAC systems, the refrigerators, the dining room sets, the couches, all that stuff. So we donated a lot of it, all the little stuff. I bring in a local church that I go to, and they have a thrift store, and they get all the little stuff. And then they took as much as they could. And then what we did is we stripped the building from there. We stripped everything out of the building back to block. And what that does is it separates the C&D, the construction debris, into a recyclable situation. And that goes to the C&D dump, and then they have their way of recycling. Then we take the concrete, which is mostly separated, 95% separated, because certain places in the building, I couldn't get in them because they were unsafe to work in. So we dropped the building, and then we're hauling it right now. We're having a little contest about how many concrete dumpster loads is going to come out
a day. Yeah.
And the predominant guess is 200, not in a day.
Total. Okay.
Total.
Okay.
Yeah. So is that what you were asking?
Yeah. And I like to see, I'm a lead AP. So when it comes to sustainability, buildings green, reuse, recycle, anything you can do, I think is phenomenal. So I really am, I'm intrigued by what you do, because there's, and you talk about how many people are just rebuilding compared to remodeling. Well, these people that are rebuilding, where they're tearing it down, you can strip everything out of it, come over and do half these remodels with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey guys, look, we just saved you a whole lot of money on new stuff that you really don't need.
And there's guys in my marketplace that are doing that. They're going in and renovating. A lot of people got hurt by the hurricanes, and they didn't have the right insurance. So now we're at our second season past, or the third season past the hurricane. And I have a lot of hurricane windows. Now everybody's going to come back to Florida, and I'm holding the hurricane windows at a certain price because it's a bargain price. I could dump them now, but all those people are going to come back to Florida starting very soon, and they're going to need that stuff because now they have to renovate and do it within the budget that they have. And, a lot of people, they just don't have a lot of money, or they're retired and they're just going to have to figure this out. So it helps. A kitchen cabinet set, I can sell you a kitchen cabinet set for what the cost of 2 boxes cost. And you can have a high quality set with soft closed doors that it's dovetailed, that maybe it's not the perfect color for you, but it's a nice set, and you can always paint them. And there's an amazing amount of them that we get that they're the right colors. There's been several situations where I go in and take the same unit apart 3 years in a row. One guy buys it, he wants to do this. And the next guy buys it, he wants to do something else. I mean, mainly just cabinets and stuff.
No, I love it. What is your favorite thing to do in the demolition site?
Well, it's like Christmas every day for me, Roger. I mean, it is. I mean, the video we just put up last night, this is a junk removal, but we have an interior designer that, I don't know if they moved or went out of business or whatever, an interior designer that we work for bought their building. And in Florida, when you buy the building, you get the keys right then. And where I come from, you get them 30 days later. So you need to be out. Well, these people didn't get out. So they gave them a day to get out. And what they didn't take, they had us come and take out as a junk removal. And the stuff that they gave us on the junk removal, he gave me like $15,000 worth of stuff and paid me $2,500 to run a big crew on overtime to get it knocked out of there. Quick. And hey, I think you could sell this too. And I think you could sell this too. And I'm like, everybody's on my team. I love it.
You got to love that. Absolutely.
So, but my favorite part is walking into these, you know, I don't get to see every project. I don't bid them out anymore. So for me, it's a hidden gems thing. It's a treasures thing every day. I'm walking into a unit and I'm going, what are we getting out of this one? You know, which is, I'm talking Sub-Zero refrigerators, Viking stoves, and they don't make refrigerators.
You're getting good stuff.
Well, not all of it's that stuff, but Frigidaire stuff. We ship a lot of stuff to California. People buy stuff, retro stuff. You know, you'll have a house that's in Port Royal in Naples, which is like Beverly Hills, and it's 20 years old, and they still have the papers inside of the oven. Yeah, I've never used it. Yeah. Never used it.
That's funny.
And they'll take it, and it's retro, and you know, California, they like that stuff.
So how do you sell the stuff then?
The most basic way you could think of: Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and if it's something that needs a lot of exposure, we sell it on eBay. So Reuse It Pros on eBay, www.reuseitpros.com. I have my whole inventory on Craigslist so that I don't have to have somebody in charge of doing inventory. So what happens if you hit the more buttons by this user on Craigslist, it shows you everything I have. So my 500 or 800 items we have. So if you go to our site, you can push the button and you can see everything we got. You don't have to come and look.
And you said you ship most stuff to California.
Well,
a lot.
We do ship. That was an extreme. A lot of people buy stuff. We have people come from North Carolina. They come down with a big trailer and they load up. They're going to rent. They're going to put a new cabin in somewhere. They get everything from us because the colors that aren't in Naples anymore are the normal colors in an area with natural color decorating. You know, and we have people doing that. We have a lot of people come from Sarasota, Miami, Tampa. Yeah, I mean, you save a fortune. You know, instead of spending $10,000 for a cheap Home Depot cabinet set that's not really going to hold up, you can buy a $50,000 set that somebody put in 10 years ago that's dovetailed, soft close, got all the extra drawers and stuff, and they're amazing. So all you need is somebody that's a decent carpenter, and then you end up with 5 extra cabinets, and you use those to make them work. You know. It's a good thing.
And where's your hard store at? Your physical store where people drive up and
it's in Bonita Springs. Okay. So it's technically an online store and you just come and pick it up. So what we do is we put everything about the item that we possibly can know on there. So you don't make a trip for no reason.
Everything came out of Elvis's house.
and then we're really careful with how we describe things, because we don't want you to drive from Sarasota and find out that it's got this scratch that we didn't show you.
Right.
So they're instructed to put it on, show the picture of it installed so people get an idea. You know, you could put this cabinet here, cut that, and do that thing. And then we show you the defects next. Then we show you all the dimensions and everything. So you can make a good educated decision. It's pretty common for people to come to our store the first time and bring their trailer.
That's pretty interesting. Kitchen cabinets, number one.
It's our number one seller. About 1,200 sets a year. Mind blowing, right?
4 sets a day.
Yeah.
So what's next? What all do you sell the most of? I mean, kitchen cabinets are great.
Refrigerators are the second.
Okay.
Then vanities. Then stoves, washers and dryers. Can't keep washers and dryers in stock.
Wow.
So then we get a lot of double ovens, just everything you could possibly think of. A lot of beds, a lot of outdoor kitchens. Let me think of what else. A lot of islands. It's amazing how many people buy islands and they're not the same color as their cabinets, and they'll buy them. And we've had islands that are 8 foot wide and 20 foot long, and they sell for like 10 grand.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And people wanted to build one somewhere that size.
And people buy them. And
it's crazy.
And to me, I'm like, where do you get a place that's that big?
That is crazy. What have you been doing to make your business grow?
Reputation right now we're taking this concept and we're going to grow it into the whole state of Florida is the plan. Our plan is to head to Sarasota right now, and a lot of the things that you and I have talked about this morning are, I know what we did here, but I don't know how to market on the next place. So we're marketing in Sarasota. We're going to service it from Bonita for a very short period of time. We've actually been looking at locations up in Sarasota. What we're trying to not do is get into get in the wrong spot and get in one of those traffic snarls. So we're trying to wait till season starts so we can see where that traffic's flowing. Because if my trucks are sitting a half hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes in traffic getting out, it's not going to do us any good. And that happens a lot in Florida they're just not built out as far as they should be for the population.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if you had a place in Sarasota, just tell the guys, hey, drive over here, get your truck. Now that it's already there, so there's no sitting in a company truck all day, because in Dallas, we tend to do that quite a bit.
You do a lot of sitting?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they say productivity is 50%.
Oh, wow.
4 hours drive. But this is a residential service company that may go to 3 or 4 calls in a day.
I see.
So over the course of the week, 50% production.
Well, some things that we do they're different. We bring the dumpster with us when we show up on the job site. So the guys come to my shop in the morning. They'll be, during our peak season, I got 130 guys. A certain amount of them are over helping out with scrap for an hour or so. The other ones are unloading the trucks and stacking everything properly so that the guys that are cleaning things can put them on. And then I have a couple girls, and they put everything on and make sure it's put on properly. And then I have a salesperson that sits there all day and does the sales. So we run it as a business. Once they get done with that, everybody goes to racetrack down the end of the street. And they all get what they need for the day. Because when we go to the job site and we got good positioning on the trailer and stuff, we ain't moving. Because if we move, guess what? The competition gets that spot. Now we got to walk 500 steps for every load, and it kills the guys. So we eat our lunches on the job, and you know how productivity goes to heck when you let a bunch of laborers go for an hour every day.
I get it.
If you've been in the trades, you know what happens. So, but it works. You know, they get paid. They don't get taken off the clock for their lunch period. They have camaraderie time with each other, and they get back to work.
I love that.
So it keeps it really productive.
So take a minute again. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, where you're at.
Okay.
All the above.
All right. David Lockwood, basically the general manager of Remove It Pros in Florida. We have another business called Reuse It Pros. They work together kind of hand in glove. So we take stuff out. We do junk removals and demolitions. Primarily, we're doing hands-on demolition. That would be our primary business. That's what we are known for. We also tear down buildings. We do concrete cutting. We have a bunch of profit centers. Tile removal, flooring removal is a big industry. We do that. And then the reselling of stuff and repurposing of the things that we get off of these job sites. What else?
And you're in what locations again?
Okay. We are stationed in Bonita Springs, Florida, and we service primarily Naples, Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, Boca Grande, and a lot of parts of Naples, it's the equivalent of Beverly Hills. The money it's insane. So you get to see a lot of stuff that most people don't get to see. You're inside of buildings and houses that people own that are very famous and you're not allowed to really talk about stuff like that.
So tell me about the greatest day you've ever had at work.
The greatest thing I found? Or
greatest day you've ever had.
At work?
Uh-huh.
Okay. The first thing that popped into my mind. Okay. I had a guy call me up and he said, my mom died. She was in her living room for 2 weeks. He says, I need to clean her place out. And she said, I just can't do it. Now, thank God or whatever, I have no sense of smell. And it's caused from probably doing all the wrong stuff demoing over the years, or maybe even rehabbing. So I have no sense of smell. So I went and cleaned that up. So I said, I'll give you two prices. One is we go through everything and keep everything, or you go through it as we bring it out or whatever. And he said, I don't want to have nothing to do with any of it. So I did that cleanup for him. And then a few weeks later, I'm walking by this chest that came out of that, and the key was in it. Well, we couldn't find a key for it. It was so nice, I didn't want to break it open. Well, the key's in the lock. I open up the lock, and there's $5,800 in there. Someone else had gone through it already. Wow. They found the key, and they got some of that money.
Wow.
So anyway,
that's pretty interesting.
But that's, you think you're going to find millions of dollars or something, but I never.
Yeah, everybody hopes that. That's why they buy the storage wars, where they bid on these storage containers, thinking, I'm gonna find $1 million in it. Well, if there's $1 million in there, I don't think the person would have lost it.
You want to talk about that for a minute? I should
Sure,
talk about
absolutely.
that. Okay, when I figured out this junk removal thing and started thinking, man, this is the bomb. Well, I thought, well, how can I get more stuff? So I started buying storage, going out and bidding on them.
You bet.
I started buying pods. I started buying out estates. And that sounds sexy. Buying out an estate is not, you're not paying anywhere near what you think you are. Because
now, what do you mean by buying out a state?
You come in and say, okay, I'll take everything that's left in an estate situation.
Oh, estates. Okay.
Estate.
I thought you meant out of state, like you're buying something from Texas, you don't even know what you're getting.
So I did all that.
Okay.
And I'll sit here and tell you how stupid I was. You should do junk removal. Do it for a really cheap price.
I love it.
Put ads on Craigslist. Say, hey, I'll come get your stuff. Get them to send you pictures, and say, hey, I need you to send me a picture of the other side too. So you know what you're getting into, and you have a fair trade. And if you show up and what they represented isn't what it is, you don't get mad or nothing. You shake their hand and say, hey man, this ain't going to work out for me.
Should have looked at that picture better, but thank you very much.
Yeah. So that's, yeah.
So now tell me about the worst day you've had at work.
The worst thing? I can't really think of anything that was really bad. Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Here you go. Here's one. Get a call from my son. He says, we're on, if this was personal insurance, we'd be on DUI insurance. Our company is on a high rate of insurance. It's because we've had a series of wrecks. We had one guy rear end somebody 3 times in like 2 weeks. The worst one we just had happen. Okay. We're in a high end market. Guy rear ends a Bentley. The Bentley rears ends a $150,000 Mercedes. Okay. The pictures from the scene, they send me the pictures. I'm like, great. There's no damage. The insurance company zeroed both those cars out. They paid them all the way out because of the depreciated value. You take a Bentley, the Bentley was a couple months old. And once you hit a Bentley, it goes on Carfax and it's worth significantly less money. They paid completely out on both of them. It's about $500,000. Nobody got hurt. Nothing. That's 79% of all litigation comes out of the state of Florida. So the billboards, every billboard's got a call me if you've had a fender bender.
Yeah, it's sad because I had a plumbing forensic attorney call me from Florida one day. Says, "Can you come do sewer isolation and location in Florida?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, you need to move down here and run a business." Yeah. Well, at the time I had my own business going. And I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
He said, "Roger, the plumbing companies here, if they walk into your house, do a sewer water test, they say your entire sewer line needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
If there's a leak in it."
Yeah.
So how are they doing that? Are they locating the leak and fixing it? He said, "No. They do a test. They say that there's a leak in the building or a leak under the building. Then they'll run a camera through and they tell you that the walls of the pipe are thin all the way through."
How can they tell that?
And I said, "I got a question." I said, "Look at the wall next to you." And he looks at it. I said, "How thick is that wall?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "They don't know either." Yeah. He said, "Well, how can you prove it?" I said, "Well, you push test balls up into different areas and you isolate it, and then you can find out exactly where the leak is. You don't have to replace every bit of it. You need to replace it where it's leaking, where it's broken." He said, "They tell us if it's leaking in one place, it's leaking everywhere."
Yeah.
I said, take a balloon, squeeze it, poke a little needle hole in it, and let the air out. It's leaking over here. Is it leaking anywhere else? And he's like, no. I said, your plumbing system could be the same way. He's like, you could move down here and get rich. He said, literally, the insurance companies pay me to make sure there's 3 proposals done.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fix it. They just write a check. They don't argue it. They don't fight it. They don't do it.
And they're turning it into their insurance. That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
If your leak under the house causes any damage inside the house, the insurance company wants to fix that because it's not.
Wow. Had no idea.
Yeah.
That's an interesting business proposition or idea.
So you're writing a book. Tell me about your book. Tell me about your book and tell me about your YouTube channel.
The book is the poor kid who grew up poor who's thought, oh my God, if I didn't have anything and I could get a pickup truck or an SUV and a trailer and I knew what I know about junk removal and, you know, everything boils down to the little itty bitty things. If you can figure out what these 3 or 4 little itty bitty things are, you can make good money and you could step away from your 9-to-5 job. And that's what I see with the junk removal. Because when we started all over, I mean, I literally had a Ford Explorer and I built a wooden trailer on a $100 frame and, you know, I'm starting all over with zero. So, I just want to show people that, show them how you can do that and go from zero to something. And now if you want to take it further and go into the demolition business and if you're in marketplaces where people value their time, or if you're in coastal marketplaces, you can emulate what we're doing to the nines. So the first book's going to be focused on the junk removal and basically saying, hey, this is how you go from zero. Okay. If you want to start tomorrow, go from zero, have money in your pocket, probably by the next day.
Get a truck.
You can do it. Get a truck, drive around the rich neighborhoods at night and run junk removal ads during the day. And next thing you know, be really careful about your time, put all the details on your listings and stuff. And next thing you know, you're going to gain traction very quickly because I did it. Not only did I do it in Florida, I moved to North Carolina and got married and started it up there and blew it straight up. And then I went back to Florida and started up again and blew it straight up. So it just works. And it's all in the little tiny secrets. So that's the junk removal book. Then I have a book that's more focused on the hands-on demolition. And that's kind of marries up with this website that, or the YouTube channel we have. It's called removeitprosdemolition. And I'm focusing on everything from the junk removal all the way through to tearing down buildings. And just trying to position and help people see that we know what we're doing. If you see the cover of the books, it shows all our fleet of trucks. You know, got 90 trucks and trailers. So, you know, a lot of people, when you're selling you self-help stuff, they may have never done what they're telling you about. And I'm just saying, here's some food for thought. Here's something that you could do, anybody could do. And you don't have to go into the demolition business. You could do this, build the money up and go do that forensic plumber
Whatever
stuff.
you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. You don't have to, and you could just do this for the rest of your life. And, if you don't need to make $1 million a year and you want to just have a really cool life, well, it's an easy way to do it. Yeah.
I like the fact that I want to take over Florida. Yeah. It's me. When I did my company, it was Texas Green Plumbing. Mm-hmm. Texas, love the state, wanted to eventually go to Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, El Paso. So I see Florida the same way. Several key cities that you can say, look, if we can hit these areas, then we can hit anything. So I think it's neat. What's the name of your YouTube channel again? That way everybody can go check it out.
It's Remove It Pros Demolition is the name of it. I have a Remove It Pros Junk Removal and a Remove It Pros Pure Entrepreneur. And the Pure Entrepreneur channel is we're basically walking you through what we're doing to grow into the next marketplaces. A lot of it's in my experiences with learning how to market.
Or how not to get jacked over when you get marketed.
Oh, dude, I got my clock cleaned on that.
Yeah.
One.
But $47,000 just thrown out the window. So I know how you feel. If you could go back to yourself the day you walk out of high school, the day Remember back the day after you graduate, you wake up the next morning, you get out and you walk out the door and you're standing there now. What would you tell your young self?
With my current knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Don't be so shy. Yeah. You could do it. You know, my parents were, my parents grew up in hell pretty much. My mom did, especially. He grew up in the lower parts of the downtown area, Cincinnati, and she dealt with all those things you would see, that all the nasty things that human beings do to themselves. And she grew up in the middle of that. And her goal was to get us out of that environment. My grandma never took care of her special needs daughter, and my mom took that on at a young age. So she's trying to keep her fed. And she would run to 10 bars to figure out where her mom was to try to beg some money out of her so she could feed themselves. So that kind of stuff. So my mom's limitations were off the chart. So anything I was doing, she was, you can't do that, you know? So
just get a safe job.
Yeah.
Keep it forever.
You know, if I met someone like you when I was that age, I would stutter and stuff because I would be so, enamored with who you are that I wouldn't be able to talk to you.
I'm just a plumber, dude.
So that's what I would tell myself, you know, don't be so shy, and you can do it. You can do it. If you put your mind to it. Somebody's wrote a book on how to do it.
Absolutely.
And the mindset, you know, you can learn that through the books as well.
Okay. So you say somebody's written books. What are your 3 favorite books that you think everybody should read going into business?
The Bible first. The Proverbs, especially if you're going into business, teaches you a lot of things about how to interact with humans. The second one, probably How to Win Friends and Influence People by Andrew Carnegie. And the book that they talk about inside of that book is Napoleon Hill's
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, yeah. And there's a secret on every page. See if you can find it.
And there's the book The Secret by Napoleon Hill too.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I read when I was the tail end of my getting out of the military. All I did was we go TDY a lot, go to temporary other bases, and while the other guys are out cheating on their wives, I was reading self-help books saying I don't want to do this the rest of my life.
Exactly. Good for you. Good for you. Thank you. This has been fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this for me. I appreciate it.
You
and
bet.
doing it for yourself as well.
So I'll do it for tradespeople.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully you add some value.
Absolutely, brother.